Got myself a big old box of Nikons, wrapped in bubbles, crinkly and wonderful. Nikon D2X. I don't own it, I borrowed it from Jerry Rigged Media. Link in the description. But a couple of things in the box are mine to keep. Yes, I'm a Canon shooter. Yes, I'm happy with Canon. But brand is irrelevant to me. At some point you have to choose a system, and then you kind of have to stick with that system. The hot shoe on the D2X is a little loose. So normally I would record through the viewfinder. I need to attach something to the hot shoe. I don't feel safe. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Feels a little too loose. I don't want to rip it off. So I'm just gonna use a GoPro so I have a second perspective to cut to. Gonna head downtown, gonna do some shutter dragging. Let's see if I can shoot entirely without leaving the car. Mostly because it's cold AF. The street that I intend to drive down, while yes, busy during normal business hours and at night, shouldn't be at this time in the morning. It's pre-sunrise by like 35, 40 minutes. Red light, let's do this, yo. I'm seeing that this might be actually quite hard to stop to take a photo. But I'm going to try to do this safely, so I will let all the potential cool photos pass me by until I can find a place to stop. I asked for help deciding which Nikon bodies, lenses that I ought to purchase on my limited budget. Thank you for the awesome responses. Nikon D700 won the vote easily, but it's just too expensive. This one's not even in great condition for $400, scuffed up. It has a crack on the memory card door. It even lists it as having excessive dust in the viewfinder. So, next one up, $424. I mean, the thing is, like, I would expect it to look better for being this old and being $424 US. So that brings me to $519, which is just absurd to me. That's just not going to happen. I'm sure it's good, but $500. I'm going to have to look at other models. Would be nice, though, if I were shooting video through the viewfinder, because then I could see what I'm getting without putting the thing up to my face. I'm thinking this was a huge mistake. I should have just gone somewhere to photograph the actual sunrise. Sunrise, motherfucker. I guess I still could. Also in the box, a Nikon D100. This one is mine to keep. There is an issue with the back screen, but I'm not particularly worried about it. I do not mind cosmetically damaged camera gear. I just don't want to get ripped off. I expect cosmetically damaged camera gear to be cheap. I'm also, of course, looking in other places, taking note of shutter counts, but I am distilling this down a bit for watchability. D200 came in second in the vote, and honestly, yes, this is much more doable. And I won't be comparing these very old Nikon bodies to very new Canon bodies. I won't judge prosumer bodies by flagship standards. The D700 was released in 2008, the D200 in 2005, and I was a very active pro photographer at those times, much more active than now. Actually, I won't really judge them at all. The point for me is to learn and have fun. What did I miss out on in 2005 and 2008 by buying and shooting Canon instead of Nikon? And that's it. It's all just in good fun. Like I said, I have zero brand loyalty. I just like photography and I'd like to broaden out a bit. I think I found a winner here. Might actually buy this one. GoPro activated. Come on, red lights. Come on, come on, come on. Red light, red light. Green light. Normally, I would not overshoot to this degree, but I feel like I have no choice. This style of photography kind of demands it, and my specific situation, where I only get a couple of seconds at a red light, also demands it. Red light. Stop sign coming up. I can take at least one photo here. There's my one shot. That's the toll booth from Better Call Saul, Mike's toll booth. Don't know if I'm going to use any of this GoPro footage. Might be motion sickness inducing. Jerry included 3 lenses, one of which he told me to keep, and 2 Fujifilm cameras, an S2 Pro and an S3 Pro, both of which are built from a Nikon N80 or F80 film camera body with Fuji electronics. So they take Nikon F-mount lenses, apparently, according to Google. F is the name of the mount. I know so little about Nikon gear. Okay, disclaimer. Not a single one of these is straight out of camera. Though I didn't do anything extensive, I cropped some as 16:9 to fix some composition things that bugged me, because they were largely shot without my actually looking through the viewfinder. I tweaked white balance, saturation, and exposure a tiny bit. In 1 or 2 cases, I retouched a stray light that bugged me. I edited in Lightroom. I did not use a camera matching color profile because I liked the look of the standard profile more. And it might seem weird that I started with something like this. There was a reason, and also I'm withholding some information that I will get into soon. But I did actually start with photos of the wife, which I decided not to include, because something's gotta be mine alone. I don't really want to live my entire life on camera. But I wanted to see how accurate the autofocus is. Can I nail focus on just an eyeball? Yes, very easily and reliably. No issues there. I actually don't mind the straight out of camera color for headshots. It definitely had a look to it. Also, a point and shoot was included. Canon PowerShot A560. All the stuff that is not mine to keep, I'm gonna go through first. I also have some other things I'm working on / committed to, so I'll just kind of alternate back and forth. Why would I still be looking to buy a Nikon DSLR though, when Jerry already gave me 1 or 2, depending on how you look at it? Or I don't know, did I mention the S2 Pro is also mine to keep? I don't know if I mentioned that. Well, this was already my plan before Jerry sent me this box. I still want to have the experience of choosing. It is tempting just to abandon the plan, save a little money, but I sold some gear specifically with the intention of choosing a Nikon body and a lens. I may hold off on getting a lens though, or choosing a lens. I have the opportunity to try a few here. I don't see though why I shouldn't just do exactly what I had planned. If anything, this will just give me greater perspective, because now I can compare the D100 and D200. I am a sucker for first generation DSLRs. I think this is a really good deal. Fewer than 4,000 shutter actuations. I feel like I need to grab this one while I still can. Hopefully I like it. If not, I'll just resell it. Move on to the next most promising camera body recommendations that I received. D300, D3, those were the next highest in votes. Not that I wouldn't deviate from the vote. I guess I would if there were a good reason. But I needed help. I asked for help, I received help, and I really appreciate it. I am bummed that I couldn't get a D700, maybe in the future. But I'm also excited about the D200 that I did get. I'm not going to be able to get to the D200 for a month, probably 2, but I'm way excited for all this stuff. So much cool stuff coming up. When I'm pontificating about Canon DSLRs, I can't help but kind of live in the past, bring up stories of the past. I won't say the good old days, because some of those days were, in fact, miserable, but the old days. Nikon stuff, this D2X, I'm way more in the moment, rather than reliving some old memory. This is good. This is very different for me. So my thoughts on the D2X, with the understanding that I've actually shot a lot more stuff than I'm showing here with it. Personal stuff. I like the camera. From the perspective of a Canon shooter, yes, everything is backwards, and it's annoying, but it's good for my brain. My mom had Alzheimer's, my dad's mom had some form of dementia. The wife and I play a disc golf video game with motion controllers, and I've recently switched to playing with my non-dominant hand. It's good to change things up. It's good for your brain, is my point. I mean, yes, Canon controls. I can operate basically on an instinctual level at this point. But do I want to live by instinct? No, actually. I like to fire up the old meat computer now and then. Toss a couple of problems up there. So what are the strengths of this camera? Well, the physicality of it, I would say. It's a big, heavy, sturdy, quality object. The grip is nice. I love that it has a vertical grip. But the vertical grip doesn't feel as good as the horizontal grip. It's not just the grip itself, but the button placement is weird in vertical mode. I'd still rather have a vertical grip, mind you. But if you grip the camera with your right hand and you spin it into a vertical orientation with your left, your shutter clicking finger is not gonna line up with the shutter release button. And then you have to kind of hunt for it. If I were to compare it to, say, an early Canon 1D from the same time period, the 1D's vertical grip and vertical button placement is a lot better. The D2X feels lighter than the 1D. Whether that's a positive or negative is for you to decide, I suppose, but both the 1D and the D2X on the back have a main screen, a little screen under that, then some buttons under that. The Nikon's buttons are a lot more useful and clearly marked. I appreciate that. Though I know this made more sense at the time, I personally don't like to have a button on the back of the camera that changes quality from RAW to JPEG, or RAW plus JPEG to JPEG only, or high quality JPEG to low quality. Both the D2X and the 1D have such a button, and in both cases I wish it weren't there. But I suppose in the early 2000s that button made at least some sense. I absolutely did switch back and forth between RAW and JPEG depending on the job or the company I was shooting for. RAW workflows were basically non-existent at the time, so shooting straight to JPEG was common. Funny enough, I would tend to shoot my professional work straight to JPEG, but my personal work in RAW plus JPEG, because I understood the need to future-proof. And the studio I worked for either didn't or didn't care. Must be so nice going through life not caring about stuff like that. I worry about everything, including accidentally hitting that quality button, not realizing it. I'd rather have to go into the menu to do stuff like that. At the time, I remember Nikon enthusiasts telling me that Nikon had better color science, which frankly I hate this term color science. It's like saying balloon science. If I crank this slider so that the blues have more green in them, am I doing science? Have I performed an experiment? Should I write a paper? Will you peer review my paper? Is there such a thing as color faith, color religion? Over time, I'm not so sure popular opinion would agree that Nikons have better color science. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm colorblind. I don't have an opinion. But I will say that because of this common narrative I hear, I guess I expected the colors to look bad, and they don't at all. I like them. I think they're great. As I said, especially for portraits. The portraits I shot of my wife, the color was very bold, nice, different. It absolutely had a look, a very intentional look. Also at the time, I remember hearing that Nikons had better TTL, and if that's true, I totally get choosing a Nikon over a Canon for wedding photography at the time. Do I like the D2X more than my 1D or other old Canon DSLRs that I own? No, but I mean it's way more fun to shoot on than my mirrorless camera. So, I liked the camera, tons of fun to shoot, great shooting experience. The results are also good, but not quite as good as the experience. Though it's hard for me to tell how much of that comes down to the lenses I'm using versus the sensor versus the fact that I don't really shoot APS-C very often. But if indeed the APS-C crop is the issue, that is my issue. If the shots look flat, I need to get more dynamic in my shooting, not blame the camera. On the other side of the equation, the RAW files are far more flexible than I was expecting, because I shot some of those first shots dragging the shutter, streaking the lights, on a Canon camera. Most on the D2X, but I was conducting a bit of an informal test, for my benefit only. I was really curious about the experience of processing the RAW files, next to a camera that I'm more familiar with, and in absolutely no way did I feel the D2X files looked worse or were more difficult to work with as compared to a, frankly, much newer Canon body. No shocking drop in dynamic range. The D2X files looked quite good in that regard. Good shadow detail, good highlight recovery. It did very well, even in a very unfair test, but that's why I didn't really present it as a test. I was just curious, getting to know the thing. And it exceeded my expectations. So any question of is this camera good enough, is it worth buying, none of that has any meaning to me. If image quality is your primary concern, this camera's good, but there are better choices for the same money. So do I recommend it? No. But if you're more concerned with a great experience, this is a top-notch experience, you will be happy. But my D200 arrived. It's beautiful. I'm so frigging excited to mess with it. Was the D2X the best possible use of $5,000 in 2004? I would say no. I still think the Canon 1D Mark II, also released in 2004, was a better use of that money. $500 US. Cheaper, actually. Again, I'm conducting a little experiment for my own benefit here. First was the D2X. This is the D100, next is the D200. Not really going to show the final shot. It's irrelevant. I want to, 1, make sure the D200 is working and doesn't need to be returned, and 2, I have some concerns about autofocus, or some questions I'm trying to answer for myself. I was seeing some issues in the field with the D2X. I wondered if it was just me or the lens. But when I did photos with my wife or the cat, it nailed focus just about every time. But with my little controlled test, the D2X struggled. So I'm left a little puzzled, honestly. Not sure what to make of the results. The D100 and 200 were just more consistently accurate using the same lens in a controlled setting. And I am unable to wrap my head around what's going on there. It might just be me. The D2X has a bit of a resolution advantage over the 1D2, but the 1D2 has a larger sensor. So pick your compromise, I guess. I don't normally do this, but I was so excited for Jerry's big box of Nikons. While I was waiting, I watched videos about the various cameras he was sending, and there was one exceptional video about the D2X. I chose not to repeat any of the information in that video, at least not consciously, but definitely watch that video if you're interested in this camera. I'll leave the link. I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but I'll figure it out, and I'll leave it in the description underneath the link to Jerry's channel. Jerry has the best D100 video on the internet, I feel, which I will certainly reference when I get to that camera. Oh, and yes, so I found a way to shoot video through the viewfinder without harming the hot shoe. But shooting the D2X really gave me the confidence to go ahead and buy the D200. Okay, I have a take. I don't know if it's a hot take or just a regular take. D2X is a damn good camera for portraits, but maybe not the greatest camera for landscapes. Though if I had it for a year, who knows, because I did enjoy it more each time. The wife is driving here, I'm just the passenger. So I do regret that I couldn't buy a D700, though I am really into the idea of owning the D100 and the D200. I think that context will help me better grasp the thinking of the time from a Nikon perspective. So if your upcoming camera purchase is about best image quality for the least amount of money, I think you want to look at cameras, honestly, like released between 2008 and maybe 2012. That is kind of the sweet spot. I think you buy cameras like this because you are into cameras like this, cameras with history. Perhaps you enjoy working around limitations. I certainly do. Anyway, there are two salient facts at play here. Number one, I want to have new experiences. Exploring old Nikon gear is going to be a lot of fun. I can already tell. Number 2. Cameras are awesome.